Good morning. Thanks so much for tuning into the Trade Setup. I'm Neeraj Shah. Let's take stock of all the global news flow impacting the markets on the day after what was a really flat day for our markets, at least. So, the US markets, the global news flow, firstly, US existing home sales slid on higher rates and lean inventory. Joe Biden will travel to New Delhi for a G20 summit from September 7th to 10th. China vows to retaliate after Japan's nuclear wastewater release, if they release it in the first place. I think that's what China has said. And oil held the 2 day loss on demand woes before the US stockpile data. Remember, it's a big day today. Chandrayaan 3 is set to land on the moon at around 6:04 p.m. And I think everybody, every news outlet in India will be tracking this and bringing you updates as things progress. So, I'm really proud and really watching forward to this as well. To my mind, this is the biggest thing today. So we'll watch out for that. But back to markets and what they did. So US stocks will largely slid, and Nasdaq may have done okay, but Dow and the S&P did slide a little bit, about 0.5%, with the new home sales. Market also slid a little bit. Yields continue to stay higher, if you will. The 10-year yield in the US continued to stay higher, above 4.3, even now 4.31. The dollar index was lower, the VIX was slightly lower. It doesn't really mean too much. The GIFT Nifty will come up on your screen next, pointing towards the start, which is mildly higher, so 0.24% higher. Well, this is after a very flat day. Remember yesterday, Nifty gained about 3 points. That's it, just about 3 points. And the Bank Nifty too ended very flat. So no big changes on the large caps per se. But at the broader end of the spectrum, Nifty Midcap 100 was up about 1.1%, and the Nifty Small Cap 100 0.81%. The Nifty PSU Bank was the top loser, followed by the Nifty Pharma Index. The Nifty Metal Index was the top gainer. You can clearly see the rotation of the hats. Last few days, the PSU banks have done the best, metals the worst. Yesterday, we saw a bit of a rotation out there. Yesterday, for example, we saw sector rotation playing out in insurance as well. No big news per se. The sector was abuzz in trade. So pretty interesting what's happening there. So what's the trade setup there for all of this? Well, if you just look at the call put concentration for Thursday's expiry, the highest put OI is at 19,300 strike, followed by 19,200 for the Nifty. But the activity at the broader end of the spectrum is strong. The Midcap index is up 1.76% in the last 5 days and 4% in the last 1 month. Now contrast that with what the Nifty's done, and you'll see very different figures, right? So the deal is that the index, the Nifty and the Bank Nifty may be slower, maybe weaker, but activity is happening at the broader end of the spectrum, both on the FNO side and the non-FNO side. 12 stocks, by the way, viewers, in FNO band just shows you the level of activity that is happening there. So that's the key thing. Yesterday, we saw media and insurance stocks starting to see traction, but frankly, when I spoke to dealing rooms or traders, there's not too much of frantic activity there, except for maybe an odd Z, which continues to remain in FNO band post the landmark event of sorts that has happened for them. The other media stocks may have gained, but we don't see any particular reason why this is happening. So that's why I attribute some of it to sector rotation. You could argue maybe I don't have any other reason to do, and that's why I'm giving sector rotation as an argument. But frankly, I see no other. But yeah, so certainly some rotation being seen in pockets. So that's the long and short. Really futile to try and give a sectoral call. At the broader end, a lot of things happening, right? Yesterday, I mean, if you see the TexRail conversation, just goes to show the kind of uptick that people believe might happen. In fact, there's a Jeffries note which speaks about how railways, including metros, have a pipeline of $7 billion over the next 12 to 36 months. So certainly a pocket worth focusing on, but what happens on a given day, very difficult to say. New kids on the block. Well, TVS Supply Chain Solutions is listing today. IPO subscriber by 2.78 times on the last day. Watch out for that. And yesterday's debutant, and I don't have the numbers right now, but the subscription on Aeroflex was very strong. Our all you need to know copy has those details. I think about 6 times or 7 times on day 1 already, with the HNI category also seemingly buoyant. So watch out for this one. I dare say this will actually come very close to some record subscriptions going by what's happened on day one, that is. So watch out for that IPO. And stocks to watch in the session today. Well, some price volume buzzers to start off with. So BHEL yesterday had a 10% jump with 6.5 times the volumes. Tata Communication 4.5% higher, 2.5 times the volumes. GMR Infra 4.4% higher, 2.6 times the volumes. M&M Financial Services and United Spirits too. Pretty strong gains, pretty strong volume action as well. Do watch out for some of these. Then BCG, SEBI in an interim order has restrained the Brightcom Group chairman and CFO from boards of listed companies. Said officials were allegedly involved in round tripping of the company's funds. Remember, the SEBI had earlier barred the directors from disposing of their shares as well. This is as per the SEBI order. This is pretty damning for the stock. I remember the stock had gained quite a, it's a small cap stock, but it gained quite a bit from those 9.5, 10 rupee levels all the way to 24, 25. The current price is 24.3. At least for today, you will definitely see some bit of a downtick. I would suspect that the SAR sentiment may last for a few more days as well. Be careful if you're, I mean, it's not, I don't think you can trade this one, but be careful if you are invested in this, then I suspect that you won't be a happy investor currently, because I would suspect that the stock will see a bit of a reaction lower. Vodafone Idea has planned to, as per PTI, sources to PTI, plans to clear about 2,400 crore of dues to the government by September, will clear dues for the June 2023 quarter, and the spectrum installment with applicable interest by September. So I would suspect it's not bad news from a Vodafone perspective. Jio Financial Services continues to lag. 2 days on a trot was a lower circuit, so therefore will the date for removing it from all the S&P BSE 500 indices has been revised to August 29th. And the release stated that if JFS continues to hit a lower circuit for 2 more days, which is today and tomorrow, then the removal date will be deferred by another 3 days, which means whatever, September 1st, or depending on the weekend holidays, 3 more trading days essentially, but you get the drift that I'm trying to make. So under pressure, JFS for the last 2 days very likely could continue to remain soft. Do watch out for Jio Financial as well. Linde India has received an LOA from IOCL for setting up air separation unit, LOA for production and supply of instrument air, plant air, and cryogenic nitrogen to IOCL Panipat refinery. Will operate and maintain the facility for a period of 20 years. Now, we don't know how large the contract is, but Linde India was extremely active in trade yesterday. So bear that in mind. This could be one of the reasons why as well. I confess ignorance about the exact reason. I don't think too many people knew, but this announcement came in post-market, so I'm presuming I'm putting 2 and 2 together and saying that maybe this could have been the reason. SGS Enterprises, a bevy of local mutual funds have bought a stock in the large trade yesterday. I saw a slew of names out there. The stock was okay, well behaved, despite the belief that such a large deal might see some pullback. But that's the thing. When a stock gets actively bought into, I think the reactions also are pretty swift. So SJS, not a bad outing yesterday, if you will, and could be interesting to see what it does today. Remember, it was up about 3.75% in trade yesterday. Then I was thinking of what brokerage notes. There are a slew of them. Like I said, the Jeffries note on railways, or a note on IEX as well. I think the one that looked interesting to me was Investec's note on Poly Medicure. They've said they initiate a buy with a target price of 16.90 per share. They say it is the largest Indian exporter of consumable medical devices. According to Investec, the ongoing capex on completion will double the existing capacity. The new therapies and the US ramp up will drive growth diversification for Poly Medicure. And Investec believes that it's set for strong earnings, which is 29% EBITDA, 31% EPS CAGR over FY23 to 26. So that's a very strong belief that this one holds for Poly Medicure. So do watch out for this as well. So that's the long and short of some of the news flow that I saw. TCS has gotten some partial relief in the US lawsuit, so maybe that has a bit of an impact on that stock. So do watch out for that as well. Morgan Stanley has a note on Polycab with an overweight and a target price raised to 5,550. So do watch out for that as well. So those are a few stocks that you have to keep in mind. Now, if people are jittery about what could be happening to the markets, BofA Securities, which was negative on earnings performance for FY23, has turned constructive. Amish Shah, the author of the note, writes in the note that they believe the Nifty will lead to or head towards northwards of 20,000 by the end of December. He joins in on Talking Point today to talk about that thesis. So that's a conversation you might want to tune in for. A clutch of other trading conversations, of course, during the day. The mutual fund show will have Sailesh Rajban of Nippon India Mutual Fund and Gurmeet Singh of Divitas Capital. Gurmeet Sodhi, actually, I think, of Divitas Capital. So that's the mutual fund show lineup today. We'll talk about the new fund from Nippon Stable and also talk to Gurmeet about thematic funds in general and what do they believe about them. So if that conversation interests you, try and tune in for that. And we'll have a big corporate voice in RC Bhargava joining in today on BQ Prime. You might want to tune in for that conversation as well. Thanks for tuning in to the Trade Setup.
You will see that we will have a range of products in the SUV segment. It's very difficult to predict what customers will ultimately do. But we are reasonably confident that with the kind of range of offerings we have and with the kind of brand image which Maruti enjoys and the kind of sales and after-sales network which we have in the country, it will be very difficult for any manufacturer to catch up and beat us over a period of time.